Updating breaking news just coming into our newsroom. 2 fugitives wanted by the FBI, including a longtime accused LA gang leader, now in custody tonight.
They do say that part of the investigation involves the murder of another young rapper. They told me over the phone that the murder was over, are you ready for this? A diss.
Today, we're here to announce federal criminal charges against Eugene Henley Jr., a career criminal known as Big U.
Big U probably never imagined things would take this kind of turn after Nipsey's murder, but now he may end up getting life. So Eugene Henley Jr., better known as Big U, just landed in some serious legal trouble. He's one of 18 alleged members of the Rollin '60s Neighbourhood Crips hit with a federal complaint packed with charges like drug t-fficking, conspiracy, and gun offenses, according to the U.S. Attorney's Office.
An enterprise engaged in murder, extortion, robbery, human COVID fraud, and other felonies.
This week, authorities arrested 10 gang members, while Henley, 58, and one other suspect were initially on the run.
Mr. Henley is a fugitive, and he is currently wanted by federal law enforcement.
But as of Wednesday night, the FBI confirmed on X, formerly Twitter, that both are now in custody. Some of the other defendants were already behind bars at the time of the press conference.
Other individuals linked to his criminal enterprise were arrested today, approximately 10 defendants who are charged in various indictments.
Prosecutors went on to say Henley was the mastermind behind what they're calling the Big U enterprise, a criminal operation that allegedly stretched far beyond the streets. On top of that, he's accused of embezzling donations meant for developing options, an anti-gang charity he founded, except according to prosecutors, it was all a front to shield his crew from law enforcement.
Investigators say that he painted himself as an entertainment executive who's been giving back to the community with various charities, but they say Henley is a violent criminal.
It gets even darker. Henley is also under suspicion in the 2021 murder of an up-and-coming rapper who was signed to his label Unique Music. The artist, referred to as RW in court documents, reportedly recorded a diss track about Henley at a Las Vegas studio.
The murder of another young rapper back in Las Vegas. Back in 2021, I talked to police in Vegas, and they told me over the phone that the murder was over, are you ready for this? A diss.
Prosecutors allege that Henley responded by having him shot and dumped in a ditch off Interstate 15 in the Nevada desert. Authorities are painting Henley as a straight-up street kingpin, running his operation like a mob boss, using his clout and deep ties to the Rollin '60s and other gangs to strong-arm businesses and individuals all over LA. But his influence didn't stop there. Prosecutors say he was all about the spotlight, using social media, podcasts, interviews, and even documentaries to hype up his own legend while making sure people knew to fear him. Now that this news is all over the internet, people are starting to talk. A female rapper has even come forward, calling him out and saying that while many folks only saw the good side of him, she had a very different experience. According to her, when she was just a kid, Henley tried to control her, and when she refused to play along, he showed his true colors.
I was just a young kid wanting to rap and wanting to live out my dream and working hard. And, you know, he really took advantage of me. He wanted to take over. He wanted to bully me. He wanted to control me. And when I wouldn't allow that, that's when he started jumping on me and beating me, extorting me.
And the list of charges against him are absolutely wild. Prosecutors are hitting him with everything: extortion, robbery, and human t-fficking, fraud, illegal gambling. And to top it all off, he's even accused of scamming a COVID-19 relief loan for his label Unique Music. To really understand how we got here, we have to rewind and take a look at Big U's past. His story has been a roller coaster, full of struggles, comebacks, and everything in between. He did 13 years behind bars, and that could have been the end of the road for him. But instead of letting it define him in a negative way, he used that time to reflect, grow, and eventually make a name for himself in a whole new way. When he got out, he was focused on making a real impact, especially in his community.
What did you get 56 years for?
For nothing. They said it was possessive of sales. It was robbery.
Big U put in serious work to create opportunities for young people, giving them mentorship, resources, and guidance to help them navigate life's challenges.
This is the place where we do all the work to service the community. We'll give you guys a look at what I've done and what I've been up to for the last 16 years or so.
He was also big in the youth sports scene, particularly with the Crenshaw Cougars football program. That team wasn't just about football, it was about discipline, teamwork, and leadership, setting kids up for success way beyond the field.
So I always had a love of football. I studied. My main sport growing up was martial arts, and that's what I did, martial art boxing. And then when I came home to answer the question, Robert Garrett.
Between his work in music, philanthropy, and sports, Big U's story looked like a classic redemption arc. Proof that with enough determination, you can turn things around and build something meaningful. But no matter how much good he did, there was always a shadow following him. And that shadow got a whole lot darker after Nipsey Hussle's murder. The rumors started swirling almost immediately. While there was never any solid proof, whispers in the streets linked Big U to Nipsey's death, with some people believing he had a hand in it, whether directly or through influence. Big U, with his long-standing ties to LA's gang culture, was already a polarizing figure, and some even suggested he had a motive or played a role in hiring the shooter.
Passed away automatically. Big U did it, or had something to do it, or did this.
Of course, with how high-profile Nipsey's murder was, these theories caught fire. Big U's name kept coming up, especially since his relationship with Nipsey had ended on a rough note. There was talk of internal conflicts within Nipsey's Rollin 60's crew, rumors of extortion, and all kinds of street politics that might have played a role in what happened.
He was supposed to do a job, or somebody sent him or whatever, and he was nervous. He was supposed to hit that alley with that red shirt immediately.
After Nipsey's passing, Big U spoke publicly about their bond, saying Nipsey was like family to him. Just days later, he played a major role in organizing one of LA's biggest peace marches, bringing together rival gangs to walk through the streets and pay tribute to Nipsey at the Marathon store.
One of the things was, you know, while the sweater and the crew necks is getting famous, everybody start bootlegging. The Tag A Marathon, the Crenshaw crew neck is a knockoff.
In the year that followed, Big U reflected on his former artist, opening up about Nipsey's influence and their shared impact on the Crenshaw community. That rare conversation gave people a more personal look at their relationship. Big U also set the record straight on his role in Nipsey's career, explaining that Nipsey was signed to him under his production company, Unique Music. He also played a part in managing him alongside Steve Lobel. According to Big U, he brought Steve in to be the face of things because his own reputation could make certain business dealings tricky. He believed that at the time, having a white frontman for a black situation made things run smoother. Their management was split. Big U handled one side, Steve took care of the other.
He had a mic in his closet and was recording his own self. Remember that. He did what no other rappers do today. He sold his own music.
Big U also pointed out that while Nipsey went full speed ahead into the entertainment industry, he himself stuck to his community work, the same work he had been doing for years. After getting out of prison in 2004, he didn't reconnect with Nipsey right away. It wasn't until around 2006 to 2007 that they started working together again. During that time, Big U was linked up with Suge Knight and his brother-in-law Rick, and Suge even provided studio time for Nipsey's early recordings. But then comes the big question. How did Nipsey die, and why do some people think Big U had anything to do with it? The official story is that Eric Holder pulled the trigger, but the streets have their own version of events. Nearly 4 years after Nipsey Hussle's tragic murder, the man convicted of killing him, Eric R. Holder Jr., was sentenced to 60 years to life in prison.
Was the Blue Suge Knight involved in Nipsey Hussle's murder? No, I'm not talking about 600. He's a sweetie pie. I'm talking about Eugene Henley, aka Big U.
Nipsey was shot and killed on March 31st, 2019, right in front of his own store in South LA. The police quickly labeled it a personal dispute, and 2 days later, Holder turned himself in at a mental health clinic. He was charged with first-degree murder, attempted murder, and illegal firearm possession, though he pleaded not guilty and was held on a $6.5 million bail. At the trial, prosecutors laid out the case. Holder and Nipsey knew each other from back in the day, and when they randomly crossed paths in a strip mall parking lot, Nipsey allegedly brought up rumors that Holder had cooperated with law enforcement. Witnesses said that minutes after that conversation, Holder left, came back with 2 guns, and opened fire.
We have identified the person believed to be responsible for this devastating crime. He is 29-year-old Eric Holder.
Prosecutors argued that it was a planned hit, not just a spur-of-the-moment reaction. Holder's lawyer didn't deny that he pulled the trigger, but argued that it was a heat-of-passion crime, pushing for a manslaughter charge instead of first-degree murder. But the jury wasn't buying it. They found Holder guilty after less than an hour of deliberation on the second day. The fact that he had time to walk away, grab his guns, eat some fries, and then come back to shoot Nipsey made it clear to them that it was premeditated. Besides first-degree murder, Holder was also found guilty of 2 counts of attempted voluntary manslaughter for hitting 2 bystanders, along with charges of illegal firearm possession and assault with a deadly weapon. In court, he stayed emotionless, sitting in a navy suit and white sneakers, while the verdict was read out to a silent courtroom. Nipsey's death didn't just shake the hip-hop world. It sent waves through LA's gang culture. Something rare happened in the months following his murder, a massive effort to bring peace between rival gangs, something that hadn't been seen since the early 90s. Bloods and Crips, divided by decades of violence, came together to honor Nipsey, who had always pushed for unity and peace despite his own affiliations. Even with Holder behind bars, the theories and whispers about Nipsey's death haven't died down. Some believe the beef went beyond a personal dispute, hinting at deeper tensions within the Rollin 60s or even suggesting outside influences had a hand in it. And that's where Big U's name keeps popping up in conversations. Whether there's any truth to it or not is another question entirely. After Nipsey Hussle's murder, peace talks between rival gangs felt like a throwback to 1992, when Tupac helped organize a truce in Watts. Back then, the Thug Life Manifesto set rules for the streets: no snitching, no harming civilians, no selling to kids, aiming to bring order and uplift communities. Nipsey was just 6 at the time, but decades later, he embodied that same vision. On March 31st, 2019, he was shot outside his own store at Crenshaw and Slauson, the very place he turned into a symbol of unity and progress. Nipsey called himself the Tupac of his generation on dedication. He was set to get a Hollywood Walk of Fame star on August 15th, but he was more than a rapper. He was a visionary entrepreneur. He fought gentrification, invested in his community, mentored artists, and worked to unite rival gangs. His legacy wasn't just music. It was about uplifting LA and redefining its future. Now, there's no debate about who pulled the trigger. Eric Holder was caught, tried, and convicted. But the real mystery is why he did it. Officially, prosecutors say it was a personal dispute, something about Nipsey confronting Eric over snitching rumors. But on the streets, a whole different theory has been making the rounds, one that points directly at Big U. According to whispers in the hood, Eric didn't act alone. He was supposedly carrying out orders. And if you know anything about Big U, you know he's got deep connections and serious pull in LA. Word is, business owners in certain areas have to pay Big U taxes for protection. And since Nipsey had his store right there, he was expected to pay up like everyone else. Some say Eric was the one collecting that so-called tax on Big U's behalf, and when Nipsey refused, that's when things turned deadly. Now, let's be real. These are street rumors, not proven facts. Nobody really knows the full story, and if Nipsey were still here, even he might not have all the answers. But because people believe Eric was acting on someone else's orders, the blame keeps circling back to Big U. If these allegations ever hold weight in court, Big U could be looking at a life sentence in federal prison. But as of now, it's all speculation. Just another chapter in a story that's still unfolding.